So I realize I fucked up. I pressed the wrong button. I've never done this before. I've never actually streamed on Twitch. So if this is awkward, I apologize. Like I said, I don't have a professional setup or anything. I just want to do something fun. But yeah, those I'll hopefully let everyone kind of there we go. There you go. Welcome back, guys. Very sorry about that. Press the wrong fucking button. That's okay. But yeah. So the heads themselves, all on the same build plate, thankfully. Hi, Wolfie. Hello. Our producer, Silent Wolf, Katie Stanley, one of the best people on the planet, love her to death, hugs and kisses, friend. She's the producer of The Dichotomy, by the way, but that's not why you guys are here. So yeah, these heads themselves, all on the same build plate, they took only about 2 hours and 5 minutes. Then with cleaning them and everything, didn't take long to clean them. They all come pre-supported with Arch Villain Games, which I appreciate the hell out of, because for those of you who don't know, when you're 3D printing a model, you have to first put it in a 3D printing program. In this case, I use Shadowbox, I think is what it's called. And you get to play around with the dimensions, the sizes, and everything. You can make them bigger, smaller. Some as big as your head. But the thing is that when I first started, I didn't know how to use it. Cool thing about it, though, is like this head in particular, the green head, I'm going to see if I can show you guys here. Because, again, my camera doesn't like being friendly with this. It came out gorgeously. I love how it looks vampiric. Come on, phone. Come on. Focus. Focus. But there's also like really tiny details that I don't know if you guys can see. So the material that it's actually printed from is not a dust. It is, so the resin comes in these bottles. And they're like $45 a bottle, but you get a lot. It's a liquid that what happens is the 3D printer, what it does, sorry, I have to wipe the resin off my hands. What it will do is it builds from the bottom layer up. So imagine it builds these upside down. And how it does it is there's a ultraviolet light underneath it that it exposes the pieces that it needs to as it builds up. So as you can imagine, it can take a long process. It takes a long time. The Frozen Sonic Mini has been fantastic. Not only is it quick, it's a little smaller. It's a little smaller, so you're not going to do like the Iron Man helmets and stuff like that. But like for miniature painters like me, it's perfect. $230. I think it was like $250 with the resin, but it was a really good deal. I highly recommend it. If you don't have board games or if you don't have miniatures of your own, and this is not me trying to get a sponsorship, but the Frozen Sonic Mini actually holds up really well. I've had it on for hours at a time with no problems. And this is Texas. It's not always the coldest, so it holds up pretty well. Now, you obviously don't want to run it in super high heat or super low temperatures because I can fuck with the resin itself. So to avoid that, try to do it in the middle of the day. It's not recommended that you leave it overnight. It's not recommended that you leave it overnight. However, I've done it before. Like I'll have started a print at like 9 p.m. knowing that I might be called into work. Get called into work and everything's fine. Now, the thing with resin is that it's very sensitive to light. So if you leave it in a very sunny area, like that's why I'm in the garage, it's set up here because that light can cause the resin to actually solidify. It can cause it to cure. And once it's cured, you kind of can't melt it back. You can't use it anymore. So fishing for some examples here in my little trash can. Here, perfect example. So when the resin prints upside down, it builds this bottom film first. And then these little stilts here are the what they refer to as the supports. So I believe it was this arm that was on it. So you can imagine it was kind of like this, being built from those layers up. I don't know how well you can see it. Obviously, I don't think this is for this arm. It may be for a different arm, but still. It's to hold up these little areas that are kind of free floating. And I realize it's not. There we go. So there's little areas here that you can't quite see that are free floating, that if you don't have a support on them when you print them, they will melt. And it will fall into the build plate, under the build plate. It will fall into the vat that the resin is in, which will clog up the resin. It won't fuck it up too much. You can actually just scrape it out. Night Jackie. So yeah, it will kind of melt into, because remember it's being built upside down, so it's being built from the bottom up. So it goes layer by layer this way. So what happens is, if the supports aren't there, it will just fall apart. It happens all the time. If you don't have the proper supports on your builds, they will fall apart. So it isn't just about supporting your models, and this is why, going back to Chipbox, it's so important, is when you're first starting out, if you don't have them pre-supported, like if they don't give you files that have these little stilts built in, you have to go and painstakingly put them in through the program and on your own. I have only done this once because honestly, it's a pain in the ass, because it takes hours to do the supports right for the 3D print. So the Minoku statue I did for my brother, the one from My Hero Academia, I had to do the supports myself. The problem with that, though, is that you have to tilt it a certain way, because it's such a large figure that I had to shrink it down and then tilt it because it has a flat base. So the problem is, if you do a 3D printer with a base flat and not at a slight angle or at a complete angle, what happens is it will build up from here with no extra support. It's going to stick to the build plate, and when you go to scrape it off, what's inevitably going to happen is you're going to start chipping and cracking the actual base, and it might actually hurt it completely. So you want to be very careful with that when you first get it. So again, getting the supported models, learning how to build the supports yourself. There's a lot of great videos. Yeah, Creep Heart Pasta says, you're going to make me end up stealing a figure. Listen, I would love to like print stuff out for people and sell it. But there's certain licenses you have to have for that, first off. But they make for really great gifts. Like for me, who does this for fun and not for profit, because again, I am not a great painter. For me, because it's a hobby and something I do for fun, something I want to share with y'all, making them as gifts for friends is great. Like I recently, well not too recently, but for Mr. Creepypasta's birthday, I had bought a Mind Flayer miniature online, and then I painted that up for him. So for me, it's one of those things where they're little great gifts, especially for my Dungeons and Dragons players, my people who love board games and have that specific piece that they love, that sort of thing. Now, what Ray Noodle is saying is no licensing issue if you own the license. Like if I were to commission or sculpt myself General Hero from the Dichotomy, my show, I could. I don't know the first thing to do. I have no clue how to actually do it. But it is technically possible. And then I could sell that mini on my own, blah, 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 sell it as merchandise for the Dichotomy. Again, that is far more advanced than I am comfortable with because it's a computer program, not exactly something, it's not something I'm bad with, but at the same time, I'm just now getting the basics of Chipbox. And that's with me having painted quite a few things here. So yeah, I know the question was make a George figure. I would make a handsome figure. For anyone who doesn't watch the Dichotomy or listen to the Dichotomy, it's a show on Spotify that you can listen to right now or whenever you want. I could do commissions for the model stuff. I could, but the problem is that, again, I am not the best painter. So let me get